This confirms it as multiple National Hockey League insiders come forward and speak out on the final potential landing spot for the Hall of Fame former Conn Smythe winner and Stanley Cup champion Jonathan Toews, who is set to potentially make a return to the National Hockey League after multiple years on a hiatus, not being able to play due to illness. And with a decision approaching near the end of this week in terms of where Jonathan Toews is going to land, this has major implications for the Colorado Avalanche, their team, their coaches, their fan base, everybody involved in this franchise. And we're going to break it down all right here, right now. Welcome into Avalanche Digest, everybody. Mark Robinson here with you. Happy to be breaking down all the latest in the Colorado Avalanche. Before we dive into everything regarding Jonathan Toews and his potential final landing spot in his National Hockey League comeback, I want to remind you to make sure you're subscribed to Avs Digest here on YouTube. 91% of you, almost 92% of you who are tuning in, watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel in comparison to 8% of you that are subscribed and tuning into Avs Digest. If you're an Avs fan, even if you're just a National Hockey League fan, and if you're following the league, this is the best possible place to get your daily Colorado Avalanche news, updates in the most consistent and accurate fashion. We're giving you all of the latest news breaks, opinions, thoughts, everything that you can possibly need to know about the Colorado Avalanche is right here on Avs Digest. So exit out of this video right now, hit that subscribe button, and make sure that you're supporting the fastest growing and most accurate and up-to-date source for Colorado Avalanche news. Without further ado, let's dive into this crazy news break regarding the potential final two landing spots for Jonathan Toews, who's 100% locked into making a return to the National Hockey League. Toews is likely deciding between the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. News break from the Chris Johnston show. So Toews, who won 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years with the Chicago Blackhawks, as well as a Conn Smythe mixed in there as well, has now narrowed down his decision as far as where he wants to land to the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets, which has massive implications. Talk a little bit about kind of what this return will look like for Toews. The potential comeback comes after several difficult years of health where he suffered long COVID. Had like a lot of respiratory issues. He sat the entire 2020-21 season suffering from that chronic inflammatory response system, missed 40 games over the next 2 seasons, and then he shared his healing journey and now appears 100% set on making a return to the National Hockey League. And then obviously, as we've talked about, the Avalanche are not the only team to have reported interest in making a sort of a deal with Toews, getting him signed and locked in. The Winnipeg Jets are the other team he could potentially be playing for, which, mind you, is his hometown. So this is an interesting situation that we find ourselves in here, because now there's the potential of Jonathan Toews either signing with the Colorado Avalanche, getting added to our team, our depth, and our roster, or we are signing him to another top 3 team in the Central Division, a team that we will play 4 times in the year and very likely could see in the playoffs. And if a veteran like him is able to make a comeback and able to play a really strong game of hockey like he did during his time playing for the Chicago Blackhawks, especially in that 5-year dynasty with the 3 Stanley Cup championships that the Blackhawks were able to win, that could be a problem for the Colorado Avalanche. So really interesting to kind of look at both of the lenses here as far as whether we'll have him on our team, playing with our roster, adding to our depth and our leadership, and how much he'd be able to contribute to the success of the Avalanche, or if we're going to see him on the other side of the ice quite frequently during the entire both regular season and Stanley Cup playoffs next year if he ends up playing for the Winnipeg Jets. Another really strong aspect of Toews' game and why he'd be a big addition for the Colorado Avalanche, that is just his utter strength in the faceoff circle. Career win rate of 57.3%, which is 16th amongst all NHL players to have taken at least 500 faceoffs since the 97-98 season. He also won faceoffs at a 63.1% clip during his last active season, which was the 2022-23 season, which was the highest mark of his 15-year Hall of Fame career. Now, in light of his return, in light of coming back to the league, it's expected that he's going to probably be looking for a short-term league minimum deal. And one of the biggest issues for the Avs right now is obviously cap space. So this is a small price to pay for one of the league's most impactful two-way players in the century, as we've talked about already, both in this video and just on this channel in general over the last few days. He's a three-time Stanley Cup champion winner. He's a Conn Smythe winner. He's a Selke winner. He is a very, very decorated hockey player and, like we said, Stanley Cup champion. And if he's able to come back into the league and play the way that he played in the past, it would be a massive addition for the Colorado Avalanche. Have to say, though, if on the other end of things, he ends up playing for the Jets, this could be dangerous for the Colorado Avalanche. It could potentially bring out threats and make, the Central Division tighter and more difficult. It could make the Winnipeg Jets a more scary-looking team in the playoffs. Obviously, Toews hasn't played in a few seasons, but clearly he has the playoff experience to add to such a strong team that is the Winnipeg Jets. And so if he's on another Central Division team that is a team that does really well in the Central Division and would potentially cause some problems for the Colorado Avalanche, that could end up being an issue for the Avs. This was an interesting take here kind of on this whole topic that's being debated around the league right now. Putting Toews in a bottom six role with the Colorado Avalanche would be incredible. So replacing him with like a Charlie Coyle or a Jack Drury, finding him kind of in those bottom two lines. Good comparison here. Gabe Landeskog didn't play for 3 years. He just made an over 1,000-day comeback and came back and looked like he never missed a game. He was like one of 3 captains to ever leave and then return over 1,000 days later. And the other 2, it was because of World War II. And so, Jonathan Toews, who would be coming back after a very long break as well, if he's able to slot himself into a position with the Colorado Avalanche where he finds himself playing really strong hockey and doing really well in a bottom sixth role, it could add an immense amount to our depth and our strength as a team. We know that he's a two-way player. We know how strong he is in the face-off circle, how strong of a shot he has, and just how well he does at that center position overall. So to see him kind of ease his way back into the league in a bottom six position with the Colorado Avalanche, it could be massive for our depth looking ahead into the next few seasons. And then another very large, notable NHL insider, Elliot Friedman, says the 3 finalists for Jonathan Toews were Winnipeg, Colorado, and Tampa Bay. Obviously, we know that it's now between Winnipeg and Colorado. So he wants to play in the Central Division. From Toews' perspective, I'm sure that one of the most appealing aspects of Colorado and Winnipeg are just how strong these teams are, how well they do in the playoffs. Colorado obviously has very strong talent, getting to play alongside Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Gabriel Landeskog, and get to play with a coach that has such a nice tenure with the Avs in Jared Bednar is a very appealing aspect for him. And then from the other perspective as well, Winnipeg, President's Trophy winner last year, making the playoffs consistently every year. Very strong roster, lot of really good players in, Connor Hellebuck, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele. Lot of really good positives coming from each of these teams and each of these perspectives as far as what Toews' landing spot will be looking ahead towards the end of this week. And as we said, a potential decision should come by the end of this week, which will be crazy to see where Toews lands. And just in general, for him to even be able to make a comeback in the league is nuts. One more quick look at the current lineup for the Colorado Avalanche. They just locked in their 2C. Brock Nelson signs with Colorado for the near future. And Charlie Coyle and Jack Drury are in that 3C and 4C spot. And like we said, to put Jonathan Toews in a potential bottom six role, slotting him in for one of those 2 people, those 2 players are rather expensive as far as our cap goes. And if we're able to get a returning veteran who's coming off of a break due to illness in Jonathan Toews, and we're able to get him at a league minimum for a short-term deal, he could really add to the depth and contribute to those third lines and really help the Avs propel their skill and continue to be, a top 10 team in this league and legitimately be a Stanley Cup contender in the next few years.